Ma'am, I don't understand. This is probably one of the most common complaints I hear from students. Ma'am, I followed the format. I stayed within the word limit. I wrote exactly what the question asked. Then why did my friends score better marks than I did? If you ever asked yourself this question, then this video is for you. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to talk about a writing task that most students consider extremely easy. In fact, many students don't even spend time preparing for it because they think, oh, it's just a diary entry. What's so difficult about that? But here's the catch. If diary entry is really that easy and simple, why do so many students lose marks in it? Why do two students who follow the same format, write within this word limit and answer the same question end up completely different scores? The answer is simple. A diary entry is not just about following a format. It's about expressing thoughts, emotions, and experiences in a way that feels genuine, convincing. Now, I can almost hear some of you saying, we already know how to write a diary entry. Well, knowing the format and knowing how to score full marks are two different things. In this video, we are not just going to learn what a diary entry is. We are going to understand what examiners actually expect, the mistakes students commonly make, and simple techniques that can transform an ordinary diary entry into an impressive high scoring. So grab your notebooks, put on your thinking cap, and let's unlock the secret of diary entry writing together. Now, before we jump into tips, tricks, and scoring techniques, let's answer a few simple questions. What is exactly a diary entry? You would be surprised to know that many students lose marks because they never really understood the purpose of a diary writing. Let me tell you honestly, have you ever come home after an exciting school trip and immediately started narrating every detail to your parents? Or perhaps after a difficult day at school, you felt like talking to someone about it. Or maybe you won a competition and couldn't stop thinking about it even before going to bed. Those thoughts, emotions, reactions, reflections are exactly what we are going to place in a diary entry. A diary entry is a personal record of an experience, an event, a feeling, or even a lesson learned. It allows us to express ourselves freely and honestly. And this brings us to something very important, the purpose of writing a diary entry. The purpose is to reveal what was happening inside our mind when that event took place. Let me explain. Suppose two students participate in the same football match. Both write, today our team won the match. Now, this information is exactly the same. But now, imagine one student writes, today our team won the match. As the final whistle blew, I felt an overwhelming sense of pride. Months of practice, sweat, and determination had finally paid off. Can you see the difference? The first sentence reports an event. The second sentence shares an experience, and diary entry is all about experiences. Now, at this point, some of you might be wondering, ma'am, all this sounds fine, but in the examination hall, won't marks depend on the format? Absolutely. The format is important because it creates the first impression. However, here's what many students don't realize. The format can help you avoid losing marks, but the content helps you gain marks. Let us understand this format carefully. Now, typically, our diary entry begins with a date, followed by a date and the time. Now, what you need to understand is the date on which you write the diary entry. The day, the same day. That's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Time would be evening or night. You don't write it in the morning unless you write it in the next morning. Now, let me clear one of the biggest doubts students have. Should we write Dear Diary or not? This question appears in almost every batch that I teach. Some schools insist on writing it. Some schools specifically ask students not to. So, who's correct? Actually, both can be correct depending on the format prescribed by your school. You see, we often imagine a diary as our closest friend, someone with whom we can share our deepest thoughts and emotions. That is why many writers begin with Dear Diary. However, technically speaking, a diary is still a non-living object. We don't literally converse with it. The phrase is used simply to establish a personal connection. Therefore, my advice is very simple. Do not confuse yourself by watching 10 different formats online. Follow the format prescribed by your teacher and your school. Examiners are not awarding marks for two magical words. Now, after date, day, time, and Dear Diary comes the body of the diary entry. And trust me, this is where this real scoring happens. Whenever I check diary entries, I often notice that students focus entirely on the event. They tell me what happened, but they forget to tell what they felt or how did they feel. Remember this rule. A diary entry has 4 essential ingredients: the event, the feelings, the thoughts, and the reflection. Without this, your diary entry is incomplete. In simple words, what happened? How did you feel? What did you think? And what did you learn? If even one of these is missing, the diary entry starts feeling incomplete. And while writing the body, there are a few golden rules you must never forget. First, always write in the first person. Use I, me, my, mine. After all, you're writing your personal thoughts. Second, keep the tone personal and natural. Do not write it as if you are preparing a newspaper report. Third, emotions matter. In fact, emotions are the soul of a diary entry. And fourth, maintain chronological order. Start from the beginning, move to the middle, and end with a reflection. A confused sequence creates a confused diary entry. Now, let me tell you about a mistake that I see almost every year. Students begin with their diary entries in the dullest way possible. Today, I went to a picnic. Today, I was very happy. Today, something exciting happened. The moment I read these openings, I know the student is simply filling the page. Think about it. If a movie starts with no excitement, would you continue watching it? Probably not. The same applies to diary entries. Your first line should immediately reveal emotions. Suppose you have won a competition. Instead of writing, today I won a competition, just write, what an unforgettable day this has been. Or, my heart is still racing with excitement as I write these words. Suppose you are writing about a sad event or incident. You could begin with, I wish I could erase this day from my memory. Or my heart feels heavier than ever tonight. Suppose you met with an accident. You could write, my hands are trembling as I try to process everything that happened today. Can you feel the difference? These openings instantly make the reader curious. Now, before we move ahead, let me discuss another important point. Many schools nowadays ask diary entries as extrapolative questions from literature chapters. And this is where students make a serious mistake. Suppose you are asked to write a diary entry as Anne Frank, or as the narrator of the chapter, or as a particular character from a story. At that moment, you are no longer yourself. You become that character. You must think like that character, or feel like that character, react like the character. Imagine being asked to write a diary entry as a poor farmer facing drought. If you start discussing your school life, your favorite subjects, or your weekend plans, the answer immediately loses authenticity. The examiner wants to see whether you truly understood the character or not. Now let's talk about the ending, which is as crucial as the beginning. Remember, the conclusion is the last thing examiner reads. Make it count. You can end with a lesson, a hope, a promise, or a reflection. For example, this experience has taught me the value of perseverance. Or, I hope tomorrow brings better opportunities. Or, I shall cherish this memory for years to come. This day will remain etched in my memory forever. Now, let me leave you with one final thought. The next time you write a diary entry, don't ask yourself, what happened today? Ask yourself, hey, how did I feel about what happened today? The moment you answer that question honestly, your diary entry will automatically become more engaging, more authentic, and far more scoring. Remember, format creates the structure, language creates clarity, and emotion creates impact. And impactful writing is exactly what examiners remember. Thank you for watching. If you found this lesson helpful, do share it with your friends and classmates. Until next time, keep watching, keep reading, and keep writing.